Good morning, everybody. I thought I'd come live again. The energy is quite rampant. A lot has happened over the last 24 hours. So much has been happening. And yesterday I had an overwhelming vision of the karmic board that was in session. I was working with a friend of mine who also connected up with me to the karmic board because our higher selves sit upon the karmic board. And what we saw was the Great White Lodge, and the Great White Lodge was pure white. And I was making a speech. My higher self was making a speech. And basically, what we both understood as we connected up was that my higher self is very direct with regards to the conditions of different planets and different constellations. What we are facing with the shifts at this time. And the big message is that the people of your earth shall go forth with their hearts pierced with love. We are also here at this time to manifest justice within this world. Justice was very much the key of the karmic board session, because what we are facing at this time with the earth, we're facing great polarity, and we're focusing much around the areas of abuse, abuse of systems, abuse of people, abuse of animals, abuse of the planet itself. And we were looking at manifestation and alignment of truths. What also came forth was that mankind was also harnessing untruths, which is something that is not common, and it's been at play for many eons. We are looking at raising the threshold through higher consciousness, but we know at this time, we also understood at this time that this was a great challenge, because majority of humanity are still within the sleep state. So we have a certain amount of souls that have awakened, but there is still a majority of the earth that are still in sleep state. So basically, service souls are being called at this time into further activation. So we are going to be embarking on massive waves for service souls. Service souls are being called up to step up to do humanity work. We have service souls that are working within the spiritual remit. We also have service souls working behind the scenes. So these service souls will be working in areas of humanity, actively working in areas of humanity. They could be working in hospitals, they could be working in care homes, they could be working out on the field in areas of famine and poverty, homelessness and so forth. So technically, service souls is a wide spectrum, and it's basically about harnessing your abilities, what you're called to the earth to do, to actually be in service. So basically, these are certain pointers that were coming through from karmic board. I've spent the last 48 hours connecting up, and it was quite poignant, because both what me and my friend was actually seeing and witnessing was absolutely spot on. And it's pure white. Pure white. It's the White Lodge in Sirius. That's where it was being held. Basically, what you have is you have two long columns, and it was more like, as I say, the replication of 42 and 24. So basically, what was in sitting yesterday was the 4 and 20 masters, which is 24. 24, 42, the 24 masters harnessing the 42 laws of Mat, and the 7 principles. So, you know, that gives you a bit of an overview. Also, as I've been connecting up, we are being called to balance. The more that I'm connecting to certain frequencies and certain energies. I have been shown, and I mentioned about Saturn on my last video, I have been shown the Hand of Saturn is rising. So next year, we are embarking on certain events. It is the year of 4. It's 222/4, 2020/4. There are going to be significant alignments next year surrounding Saturn, including transitions. And I'm also, as I said, I've shared on my last video around the spring equinox and just before winter solstice, 2 very important factors where Saturn is going to be making significant transitions. I've also been shown at some point next year a specific alignment of Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto. I've also been shown the ring, the cross in a ring, and this represents, as I say, it's a pointer of 4, the 4 directions, the 4 nodal points, and so forth. I've also been shown the key to the Ascension, and as we are activating certain Hyperborean energies and timelines, I have been given the key Androgynous, balance. Now, andro, which I've been shown, andro specifies the masculine, gi is feminine, nous is mind. So basically, what we are being called to do is to balance the masculine and feminine within. So it has to come from within. And that, as we are embracing that energy within, we become whole. And the androgynous is something that we have expressed back in the ancient times. Certainly in the first 3 root races, we was expressing that. We was expressing this divine balance. So as we are expressing this androgynous state, we're able to ascend more quickly, understanding what is actually happening up in the higher realms of light. So when we connect up with our oversoul monadic state of being, this monadic state of being encompasses our Akashic record, the full I am presence, and as we're connecting up, we are hitting a state of divineness, divine purity, divine balance. We cannot be expressing the separation of the masculine feminine consciousness, because if we're expressing that within, then that creates separation around us. So we have to express this androgynous state of being, and that androgynous state of being is about embracing the whole. And this is a full fundamental essence of the goddess state of being, and that is embracing the whole. So technically, where we could be either masculine or feminine, it is about balancing, I call, the right side and the left side of the brain. That has to be in alignment with each other. The left and the right side of ourselves being in alignment with each other. So basically, this is what it's about as we are making that ascension. I am also being shown Atlantean energy, and this is something that's coming through from Karmic Board, that we have to work hard to try and balance this earth. I have been shown the state of the earth at the moment. Now, in balance, as we work in balance, I have been shown the complete state of the earth, and we can only go about even making our observations when we're walking the streets, making observations of the communities as a whole, and what is really happening within our earth, pockets of deprivation, pockets of crime, pockets of conflict, warfare, so forth. So what we have to do is we will have to work within those templates, work on those templates energetically and inject healing. Because what we are looking at is a great challenge, and often or not, when we are looking at something like this, the 4 and the 4 axis, the 4 cycles, the 4, as I say, the 4 ages of the cycles, because there's so much coming through. When we look at these directions, so basically, if we look at the ages, we started at the age of Leo in Egypt. We had Taurus, and now we're entering, and I'm saying we're entering Aquarius, it's official. So right at the bottom is the 3rd, and again, we're looking at 4 times 3, 12. 12 is a number that's coming through, because we're in the age of 12 at the moment, the year of 12. So basically what we got here at this point here is we are also transitioning. So we have the ages, we have the ages, but we also have the Vedic ages of every 5,000 years, where we go through the yogas. Now the yogas not always represent this, do not all represent the zodiac, and that also is another conversation. But the yogas, we're actually in Kali Yuga. Now Kali Yuga is where it's really challenging. Kali Yuga is where it's really challenging, but also replicating that, we have the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze, it's copper, the copper and the iron. So we're in the iron, but we're also at the tip of the Diamond Age, because right the last 100 years of the I call it, is it the iron or the real challenge, where we're going up into the Golden Age, we're in the Diamond. So basically in the Diamond period, the diamond period, which is usually the last 100 years, is where we are anchoring the diamond frequency. We're diamond consciousness. We're awakening significant souls. Significant souls come down to prepare for the golden age. We're in that part now, so we are anchoring that frequency. And the Aquarian is the one that takes us in to the new golden age, because usually with this within this is also markers for the golden age, and the beginning and end of cycle within the yoga states. So as I say, it's quite a bit of a mind-blowing explanation. So we have the cycle of the zodiac, but within that we also have the yogas, and the life cycle, which usually lasts within the yogas, that lasts about approximately 5,000 years. This here is probably a cycle of 26,000. Then there's also within that 360 degrees, 30 degrees for each particular age. So this is what we're in. I've also been shown Atlantis, and I've been shown the fall. And the reason why I've been shown Atlantis and been shown the fall is because even in Atlantis, we had, right just before the fall, great challenges. We had just before the fall of Atlantis, again, a descent of energy, a descent of power. We had what we call, back in Atlantis, black magicians. Okay, black magicians who started turning the natural into the unnatural, because we had in Atlantis sacred things. Everything was sacred. The energy was sacred. So these black magicians came in and started turning what we deemed natural and divine into unnatural. That brought about chaos of the order that we was so used to in the days of Atlantis, and everything was started to descend, and as chaos starts going in and kicks in, everything starts to fall, everything starts to crumble. So we need something to create order. And this is basically where we are at. Now, the thing is, it doesn't take one person to create that order. It does take a team. And we are in that challenge at this time. And this is something that was coming through from Karmic Board. We are in days of great challenge. We are ascending the earth. We are infiltrating the earth with beautiful energy and light, the templates and so forth. We are awakening souls. And through the awakening of souls, we're able to try and anchor that consciousness out. The only way we can actually be able to do this is by coming into great balance within ourselves, within our lives, anchoring the masculine and feminine that's within us, and being the balance within us. So basically, also we also, within that balance and higher consciousness, we become more aware of what is actually happening around us, whether it be energetically or in the physical capacity. I'm also picking up from the Atlantean, from from the Atlantean times, again, is a replication of what's happening within this current Aryan race, is the corruption of teachings. The corruption of teachings. And this is something that was replicated within the, as I say, the karmic board, is about the corruption of teachings. And it is very important that we are working from heart space. When we work from heart space, we embrace all. Okay, we embrace all, and we embrace all paths. But we embrace all paths, but we sit from a higher perspective. We understand the paths of the souls that are they are on at this moment in time. But it doesn't mean to say that we are going to be allowing people to come in, to be forceful with us, to even attack us for the space that we are in. It is important to set some boundaries. This is some of the challenges that I personally face, because when I'm sharing stuff, sometimes people are not quite resonating. It doesn't matter if people are not resonating. We're not here for followings or anything like that when we are working from purity of heart. So people will challenge us, people will belittle us, people will not quite understand our space and light, people will assume things about us. And it's very important when that happens that we remove ourselves from that situation and take ourselves into that space. Time for a reflection, but don't take it personal. I often would say when people are expressing themselves in that sphere of understanding, they are projecting their own space, their own hearts, where they are at in this time. And you get an understanding of where that person is at a vibrational level, from the way they are speaking, the way they are projecting, and so forth. So it's very important that when we're working from the space of the heart, working from a higher state of consciousness, trying to not work from any space of ego, because when you're working with spirit in a higher sense, you have to rescind the elements of ego, false ego. So when you're working in that sphere, you kind of understand and try to remove yourself from that situation. That way, you can kind of take yourself back to reflect, to understand, to work out what is actually happening. So it is important, and I'm actually now receiving I'm just receiving something from Horus now, and this is about the balance. Horus is now saying, just wants to impart, and I'm just hearing what he's saying. When the man has been put above the woman, and the woman has been put above the man, it is clear that people have lost their direction and are going against the nature and divine laws. Woman and man express the reflection of all that the Godhead, the divine, is about. And the God, the divine, is both male and female, and is androgynous, the masculine and feminine mind principle. And this essence is expressed through the ankh and the cross. And it has to be expressed eternal. It is very hard for a human to reach this state of being. Because this essence in nature is not material. It's spiritual, and it's a spiritual attainment. It is a state of higher consciousness. So when the masculine, even in any form of relationship, masculine rises up above the feminine, or the feminine rises up above the masculine, there is no balance. Can you see? When I'm looking at the scales here, okay, it has to be like that. There can be no form of anything that is greater than the other. It has to be like that. It is an attainment of higher consciousness. So if you are experiencing any form of relationship, okay, it has to be like that. If it's like this or like this, then that relationship needs balance. And if it cannot balance like this, then that relationship is not worth it. Okay? Because it's not like this. And I don't, as I say, that relationship needs healing. Now, that relationship cannot progress or proceed when it's like this or like this. And this is kind of interesting because I wanted to come online to talk a little bit about abuse and domestic abuse and abuse within relationships, because the population at this time of marriages not working, relationships that are not working, domestic abuse situations are really high because there is no balance of love. There's no balance of harmony. Often or not, there has to be balance. There cannot be any essence of superiority or inferiority when we're working in balance. And this is the fundamental essence of love coming from the heart chakra, is about balance. We have to balance our securities and our insecurities, eradicating any of the vices and anchoring the qualities. So if we are not like this, and if we're like this and like this in any form of relationship, then we have to work. We can either work on healing with the relationship. If that relationship cannot be healed, then is that a relationship that is a karmic situation? And you cannot, as I say, it has to be done. And you have to pull back. Whatever relationship that you encounter in the material, if it's not like that, or if it's like this or like this and not like this, then we have to pull that into question. We have to work with the love of our hearts, This is why the anchoring of love within and piercing the hearts of love in the hearts of humanity, human beings, we need to pierce their hearts with love. Show them love. Show them love, because love is the root of everything. True, unconditional love. I'm actually being shown this now because there's elements coming in from the karmic board about the breaking and untying of negative binds and contracts. Anything that's not going to be serving the soul a higher purpose or understanding is being unbinded. Certainly with service souls that are here for a reason, because we cannot hold on to things that are not giving us balance in our lives, that sustenance, and it's going to affect our energy, our love, our understanding, and so forth. So that's also what's happening. This is kind of interesting in this time that we have to look at relationships as a whole, and if that relationship is not bringing us a greater balance within our lives, then we have to empower ourselves to make certain decisions. We are having to anchor the androgynous, masculine, feminine mind within. That's what we are being called to do, and to do that with love. Thus, that creates the balance within our lives. It also connects us with ancient times, to the times of Hyperborea, when we were manifesting androgynous states. I'm going to share with you as well, this is something that there are different signs and symbols of the androgynous state. One of them being the Shiva and Shakti combined. I've actually got a photograph where I had an energetic photograph taken of me, and Horus was standing over me with his hand here. He was standing here, and I've got this, I have shared it, and right in front of me you can see the Ganesha coming down. He's blue. It's completely divine. I've got spirals going down me, and that is basically the energy that me and Horus work in. But it's also the photo was about the balance of spirit and matter. Spirit and matter within itself formulates a part of that androgynous state of being. And that I had that photo, and you know, often or not, and somebody said to me, they said to me when I looked at this energy photo that they saw Horus over me, they said, Ganesha is coming down you. I'm actually, everything was gold and blue, gold and blue. This is the energy that are working, gold and blue. So this is basically the contract that I've signed is about manifesting spirit and matter. This is about the integration of polarity. I'm working on this energy through my videos. The integration of polarity happens within ourselves. The integration of polarity happens when we hit the androgynous state of being. The balancing of masculine and feminine starts from within. The balance of spirit and matter and allowing this expression to come from within, and allowing that to be internal. It has to be internal before it can be expressed external. So this is what I am receiving, because the Hand of Saturn is rising next year. I received a mixture of two. It's like 2244, 242, 2442. I am going to be working in the energy. My codes is 426. I work with 242. My life path is 426. So this is something I'm going to be working with. 242, which is the Jupiter and Saturn rising. This is the divine codes that Horus and I manifest. This is the codes that Horus and I work in. Spirit and matter. The four belts around the Saturn represent the four directions, the four cycles, the four pillars. Saturn comes from Sa of the Orion. Sa of the Orion is Osiris. Osiris resurrects in Horus, and in order for us to resurrect, we are awakening our state. Horus represents also different faculties of consciousness. He awakens the third eye, and he awakens our spiritual senses. Horus, Heru, is the essence of Osiris. He's the very essence of Serapis, the keeper of the Ascension flame. And through our awakening and through our ascension, we are evolving and growing. We are called here in this now to ascend. So this is some of the fundamentals I'm bringing to you, is about the ascension of the soul. The ascension of the soul, we have to go deep. We have to go deeper. We have to go and come out. We have to come out of our comfort zones and go deeper. And the more deeper that you go within yourselves, the more that you're able to share with the collective, such as I come and share with the collective what's happening with me, what I'm receiving, what's going on with my essence as I go up and I'm connecting with my essence. I go up. What's my higher self doing? What form is my higher self? I could tell you there was a mixture of forms going on with me when I was sitting up on the karmic board. I was connecting with essences of Athena, and I was connecting with essences of Mother Mary. So when I was connecting up, I can also tell you who I saw. There was two beings. I was very aware sitting there. I was sitting in the presence of Katumi. I was sitting in the presence of Saint Germain. And I know I have been with these beings in past life, and I know which lifetimes I've been with these beings. So the more that you are connecting upwards and expanding, the more you connect with souls as well that you've had past lives with. I know I'm connecting with people I've had past lives with. I'm working with them on mentorship programs. I also know that when people are getting drawn to me and I get drawn to them, there's something happening. And sometimes spirit don't always tell you, but then things start unfolding. I'm working with a lady who her main guide is Zebedee, and Zebedee works through her. And Zebedee is Zebedee from the time of Yeshua. And I'm working with that lady and Zebedee. And the reason why I'm working with them is because we're working with certain timelines from the time of Christ. Because she was Salome at the time of Christ, and Zebedee is working through her. So she is now, at the moment, going through a lot of trance transmissions. So she is now evolving. This is something that is happening when I'm working with people. We start expanding and expanding and expanding, and she's been working with me for a while. So things start expanding, and then we start uncovering, and it does take time, because spirit take time. When spirit think, right, time is right, we are now going to activate the consciousness of that person. We're going to allow that guide to come through and work with that person, because when we're activating, we work and we are activating to our spirit guides. And the moment we activate to our spirit guides, we become, things start going like this. And we start uncovering who we are. And this is something that I've seen so many people when they're working with spirit guides and they start working mediumistically, and it starts working with guides, and it starts building up, and then your mediumship starts building up, and you're flourishing and you're growing, and you're seeing that beautiful lotus activating, and this is the pleasure I see when I see souls activating and expanding and growing. And I mean, I've seen people working with their guides, connecting with their past lives. I've seen people connecting even with their native past lives, working with native guides. I've sat in trance circle where we have been working with specific guides from the Sui nation, and the energy has been electric, absolutely divine. It's beautiful. We had grey eagle, sitting bull, running antelope, and there was 3 of us doing trance. Can you imagine the energy of that space? And when the guides come through, they are speaking a language that is not of this earth. They don't talk about so much about their, they don't talk about politics. They don't talk about stuff like that. They talk about consciousness. And what they do is they come through in a sphere where they are presenting evidence. So you do get evidence of the spirit, and they come through with evidence. So if I was to give you evidence of Ashtar, okay, Ashtar, I'm going to give you an evidence of Ashtar. Ashtar is not blonde hair, and he doesn't come in a galactic suit. Ashtar is an ancient being from the Sumerian Moab times, and he was the god of war, but also through that pantheon, Mesopotamian pantheon, these beings came in. They were creating and setting up portals, galactic gateways. They were also constructing, but through this construction, what people don't understand was that they are building constructs of this earth, portals, gateways, avenues, working with ley lines. What they don't, what people have not understood is they've done that to prepare the Earth's ascension. So what they've done is they've replicated certain gateways, avenues, ley lines, vortices, stargates, stuff like that. So what happens is when we're in an ascension process, we are able to infiltrate this energy and light in, down, through these centers. So when I work with Ashtar, he's not blonde hair, he's not in a blue suit or a silver suit. He is quite divine. He's got olive skin, dark hair, and he is, as I say, he's a very ancient being. Mediumship is about presenting evidence. And without that, as I say, without presenting the evidence, you know, if you don't present evidence, it can lead to distortion, and this is something that was also being presented at Karmic Board. Matrices are often creating distortions. For example, we look upon the Abrahamic line. If we look at the Abrahamic line, we look at how that has evolved and how much distortion has come through that Abrahamic line, because people want to interfere with the teachings, with the original teaching that's been brought forth. So technically, if you look at Christianity, Yeshua didn't come down to establish Christianity. He didn't come down to establish a religion. He's not a Christian. And he was birthed into the Jewish faith, but he wasn't really practicing the Jewish faith. He was observing what was going on with the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He was observing what was going on, and what he was doing, he was challenging. He was challenging what they were teaching. And the thing is, when we are evolved enough, we work from higher consciousness, we're able to challenge, is this right or is this wrong? Is this a distortion? What is actually happening? So when you're evolved from a higher sphere, you're able to discern what is right and what's wrong. So he came here to anchor love, to anchor compassion, to actually demonstrate the art of forgiveness. He also replicated the times of Osiris, because Yeshua is the very essence of Osiris. So next year, when Saturn is making significant transitions, we're anchoring once more, refreshing the Christ consciousness. The Christ consciousness, what Yeshua came here to replicate, is about the qualities of the soul, the love, the compassion, the forgiveness, the hope, the faith, the knowledge, the wisdom, the expression of the balance of the androgynous state of being, and that is being the balance of the masculine and the feminine, and it must start within you. That must start within before it can be expressed in the external world. And once that is expressed within, people begin to see your light, your energy. That energy comes from within, expands around you. That also, once that's obtained, you're able to connect with your I am presence, your divinity. You are connecting again. This is the fundaments of the twin flame path. The twin flame path, and I'm saying this now, fundaments of the twin flame path. The achieving the androgynous mind state, being masculine, feminine. Again, when I come in and say balance, Hyperborea, because in the state of Hyperborea, we in that state we was in essence both masculine, feminine, in balance within ourselves. We can express ourselves through masculine, feminine states. When we are doing that, we then understand the whole, and that is basically what the message is about. So Yeshua came to express that. So Shiva Shakti is an expression, and I'm also going to say there is Baphomet. Baphomet is also an expression of the Androgynous, and over the ages, people have used Baphomet as something of a negative nature. But if you was to go and Google Baphomet and take one look at Baphomet, you get the goat or the ram, the ram head, which the ram is comes back from Egypt. That is very much the essence of Osiris. Basically, the Baphomet is a combination of the masculine and feminine being manifested. So then you got the five-pointed star. Now the five-pointed star represents the five elements of spirit, of air, of fire and water. You also got other signals of Baphomet is as above, so below. So he points up and he points down. As above, so below, because it's about the universal energy being manifested on this planet. So we're manifesting as above, the cosmic energies to below. So this is everything that's the fundamentals of the polarity. Yes, Baphomet can be seen, as I say, is dark and light, is another polarity. All the polarities are actually being identified through this Baphomet. So basically, what we are being called to do is align and integrate the very essence of the polarity. So that in itself is a replication. When I have been going around the spiritual communities, I see that symbol of Baphomet being used for both light purposes, and I've been seeing it being used for dark purposes. And when I see it being used for dark magic, black magic and stuff like that, it makes me sad. But it also reminds me that energy can be abused. Energy can be distorted. Energy can be misused. And when that happens, there's always karmic repercussions, and this is something that was being addressed at Karmic Board. So basically, the stuff that's coming through from Karmic Board, when I was attuning myself up, was I was being shown there's so much going on at this time in a wider spectrum, and everything has to be called into balance. So the higher service souls are now being called to greater understanding and to understand the androgynous that we have to operate from within, and that is the balance. So everything is sort of kind of connected in a sense. So I'm going to leave it there for now. There's a lot to digest. But I thought I'd come live to share what I've experienced over the last 48 hours, and the fact that we are being called to balance. The balance of mind, body and spirit. The balance to bring us into wholeness and so forth. And the more that we balance within, even the elements is important, that we connect with the elements. We have to, then we can integrate the polarity that's within ourselves, within our lives, and we will embark on a greater ascension. We then start evolving, growing, expanding our awareness. So I'm going to leave that with you. If there's any comments, what I will do is I will come and respond online. I want to say thank you very much, and God bless you all, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a beautiful week ahead. Blessings to you all. Sending you all love, and be empowered. God bless.